Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Thriving Holistic Practitioner podcast. I'm excited, as always, to have you here with me. And today I'm bringing you a wonderful guest all the way from St. Louis, Missouri. Joining us is Angela Brown, who is a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Don't ask me to say that 5 times fast. She's also a licensed physical therapist and a physical trainer. She specializes in helping women heal their thyroid and hormones. And I'm excited to have her here because we have a really episode that I know you're not going to want to miss for anybody who's been doing one-to-one coaching and is thinking of transitioning to a group program. We're going to listen to Angela tell her story of how she did that and what was the result. Like, what maybe she has some good advice for us. I'm glad to have her here with us. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Well, would you please just share a little bit of your founder story and how you kind of came to be on this path of holistic medicine to begin with?
Absolutely. So I had a pretty long journey myself. I am 47 years old now, but I got diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was around 22. And at that time, I was actually practicing as a physical therapist. And it became very clear to me over the years after I got diagnosed, I was not getting a lot of help. And I continued to feel worse along the way. And it just became super frustrating that I'm working in the medical field. I even went and got certified in personal training. So I'm in the health and fitness industry. I'm in the medical field, and doctors are still like, yeah, too bad. We don't know what to do with you. And I just, every year that went by, I just kept feeling worse and worse and worse. And so that's why I started looking at, I got to start looking at other alternatives, functional medicine, holistic health, and things like that. And that's when I saw the certification that I have, the big long word. We usually just say FDNP. And I stumbled on that, and I thought, man, this is really interesting. I'm really pretty intrigued by this. And when I started studying it, I started implementing some of the things on myself, started doing some of the testing on myself. It's the first time in like 15 years that I'm like, I think I'm actually feeling better. There is something to be said for this. And so that's why I was still practicing as a PT at the time. And I decided, you know what, I am not going to work for a clinic anymore. I got out of the clinic, and I want to actually start helping other women in this realm, because I know there's a lot of women out there that struggle with hormone stuff and thyroid stuff and things like that. And so that's what I eventually transitioned to. About 10 years I've been doing it now, and I'm just doing that full time now, working with women all over the world, trying to help them, navigate the process with thyroid and hormone stuff, because it is overwhelming. I felt it, I had it. And it was a very defeating sometimes journey and frustrating. And so I wanted to create a community and environment for women that they actually have someone they can talk to and can understand them on their own journey, because I've been in their shoes, and then just help them actually feel like themselves again.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So that's pretty exciting. So when you first started, you were doing one-on-one consultations.
Yeah.
How did that go? Like, what were, some of the initial maybe challenges that you faced and overcome just in that beginning phase?
Yeah, it was. So, when I very first started, it was interesting when I first started, probably the first like 2 to 3 years, I was doing all one-on-one, and I was actually at that time, was doing not only all one-on-one, but like pretty much standalone a la carte test result. Here's this. And it was exhausting doing that, because I had so many clients coming in, but I couldn't, it was like trying to keep track of all of them. So that was a challenge. It was a really big challenge. So then I decided, okay, I'm not just going to do this. Like, here's your one test result, or here's your one nutrition consultation. You're going to buy a package with me. We're going to be together for, 4 to 6 months or something like that. Again, that was still all one-on-one. And I was doing that up until almost like a month ago, even. I decided to transition into a group program. I still offer one-on-one, but I don't have very many spots for it anymore, because it was exhausting, I'll say, to have everything be one-on-one and all the calls, and trying to keep up with all of it and having that many clients all at once. It was a challenge. And it got to the point where I was like, I have a wait list now, and I didn't want to have to do that. And so I was nervous. I won't deny that I was nervous, transitioning into a group program realm, because it is health. I've been in group programs myself, but it was business. It wasn't health.
Yeah.
So, but man, this is, is this going to be a smart move? Is this going to be too scary for women to be like, I don't want to talk about health stuff in a group environment? And I have had no problem at all with that. And women actually enjoy having the community and people they can talk to and people they can, if they need to vent, they can vent, not just to me, but like the women in the community. And it's been really, really nice being able to do that. I feel like I've created a even bigger community with these women than when I was just doing only one-on-one. So it's been a really nice transition. Kind of surprised myself by it because I wasn't totally sure how it was going to go. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. I actually really do like it.
I think that's what really, you hit the nail on the head there with something really pivotal, and that's how powerful the community
Mhm.
is. I
Yeah.
think we underestimate, and this is from my perspective as a business consultant, but I see it too in health consultants.
Mhm.
We underestimate the value of the community as
Yeah.
as an actual service to our
Right.
client, because we're like, we're the expert. They're coming to us
Right.
for the information.
Right.
But it is, so can you explain, like, just being in an observer mode, kind of looking back, what were some of the cool things you saw taking place that you were not expecting?
So I know the big one, like you just said, the community aspect of it, that was probably the area that I was the most concerned about was like, are women going to actually like open up? Or, if they need to vent or if they have a question, are they going to be too nervous to ask the question? Because I have had women send me private messages, my own clients, as one-on-one, like, I know this is a stupid question. So, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And so I thought, I don't want women to feel that way in the group and like they're just not going to ask them because I feel like it's a stupid question or, it's too private, things like that. And it was the exact opposite. It's been very surprising that I honestly, that was the thing that held me back from transitioning to a group program. I've been wanting to do this probably for 3 years now. And I just kept putting it off because I was like, I am just too nervous that women are just like, I don't want any part of that because I don't want it to, you know, I want it to be one-on-one. I want it to be private. And it's been the opposite. And that was what was really surprising for me was how much of them are like, no, I actually like this. I want the community because I have a private Facebook group where they're a part of, and then we have group coaching calls and they're like, this is phenomenal because they feel like there's others that are in the same room, I'll say, with them that they can relate to. And it's not just, them, it's nice because I've been in their shoes with a lot of these things. But when I'm still like the coach, I'll say, and, that can be, I'm sure for some of them, and they've told me this, before, it can almost be intimidating sometimes,
Mm,
or like you don't want to let your coach down. And so you don't want to say things, but that they have no problem saying it to the other, members and in the other people in the community. And it's been phenomenal. And that's probably been the most surprising thing is how much it's like, they're like, this is fantastic. Because my Facebook group, I had a Facebook group the whole time, even with my one-on-one clients, but it wasn't really active because they didn't need to be asking a lot of questions in there because they could send me one-on-one messages. Now it's active and it's been really nice. People are, putting in there like what their wins were for the week, what their focus is for the week, because I asked that in the group and they're just responding like crazy. And it's been really nice. And I'm even just like hearing the way they're talking to each other, how much they're supporting each other and cheering each other on. It's been really cool to see that. And that, again, that's probably the biggest surprise for me is it was way easier of a transition than I thought it was going to be. And I should have done it a long time ago, like I said I was going to, but that was what held me back. And I'm like, man, if I had known it was going to be like this, I would have just jumped in, head first 3 years ago when I started thinking about it.
yeah.
Because business started really picking up for me with one-on-one. And I was like, I can't even keep up with this. So many people coming in. How am I going to do this?
Mhm.
Then I brought a support coach on that's helping me in my business. But even with her, there's still only so much space. And I'm like, I want to be able to help more women. And I can't do that if I'm only doing one-on-one.
Yes.
So transition's been really, really nice. And again, way easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm like, well, should have done this a long time ago.
Love hindsight, right?
Yeah, right. Totally. Exactly.
So do you mind me asking about the profitability of your business and how that group program changed that for you? Like, one of the cool things I think, and I don't even know if this is true for you because we haven't talked about it, but
Mm.
I think it's cool how offering that group program, it does save you time, but it also increases your profitability usually. But
Right.
it also offers like a lower price point for most people,
Right.
making it more affordable so you can even have a greater impact. Like, did you
Right.
find that to be true too?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That was probably the thing that actually one of my biggest reasons, because I like made a list of pros and cons and things like that. And one of the things at the top of the list was I can help more women because I can bring more women in because I'm limited on space when I'm doing one-on-one. But when I have a group like this, I am not limited now. I can have a much bigger group of women coming in. I don't have to, and I have it set up kind of as an evergreen so they can come in anytime. So it's not like we start on this date, we end on this date. So if you miss that window, you got to wait till I'm opening enrollment again. It's open all the time, which is, that's why I did it, because I want to be able to help more women. But that's what I noticed, the biggest reason why I want to do it was for that. And that's been really nice because I'm like, I can actually bring more people in now. And even though my one-on-one is a higher ticket, you know, price point for, what I offer, I'm limited. I'm only limited. I'm limited on how many people I can do it with. And the group I'm not. And so I actually can bring more women in. Profitability is higher because of that. And women love that it is a lower ticket price. Then they can come in much easier. It's not as costly, but they still have access to me. They still can do the testing, and that was another area because the certification I have, we do a lot of testing. We do a lot of functional lab testing, and I was a little hesitant with, am I gonna do testing? Like that's the biggest thing that I like to do in my practice, so I can customize protocols for women. And I was like, is that going to be a challenge to be able to do testing? And what I have found, it's been really easy because I still can do a protocol for them. I still give them a customized protocol and all that. And then if they have questions, they can still ask me the questions.
Hey,
So yeah, that was like the things that probably I would say the two things that were on the con list, like this is going to hold me back, is are women really going to want the community? Is it going to be, is that too private? And then including the testing part. And it's been the exact opposite. That's been really
well, and
easy.
I'm glad you brought that up about the testing because that was the other question I think a lot of people are wondering is how
Mhm.
do you go over their test results with them? Are you still doing a one-on-one with them that
So
first
what,
time?
yeah. So what I am doing now, and it's been really nice, and I've been getting so much feedback on it that women are loving it. And I was testing it out to see if like, is this going to really work in here? So all of any of the tests that clients are doing with me inside the group program, I do a video recording for them. So I record all of their results. I record everything. And the video, depending on, which test we're doing, but it's usually at least 15 to 20 minutes long. So I
Mhm.
do a whole video recording for them, and then they don't have to worry about doing a one-on-one call, but they'll have that recording at all times. And
That
so
definitely makes it easier for you to work with people anywhere in the world because
it
you
is, it's
have
been really
time.
nice because I have clients. I have a couple in the Netherlands right now. I have some in the UK. I have some in Canada. I have some in Australia. Like the ones in the Netherlands, that in Australia, that time difference, it's a challenge. It's a
Mhm.
challenge. And I'm like, man, if I had to try to schedule, all my one-on-one calls with them, I'm like, that is going to be a challenge to do. And with the
Yes.
group, I don't have to do that. And so, yeah, they get a video recording of all their test results. They have the option if they're like, you know what, I actually want to do a one-on-one call with you. They have the option to, tack on. They can pay for a one-on-one call with me. That's always there. But I haven't anyone that even wanted to do it because they're like, no, the video recording is phenomenal. Like you give me so much information on the video recording of the whole test result that I don't need that. This is
Yes.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And then they can come. What if they can't make it to one of the meetings? Like they just drop their question in the Facebook group or
Yeah.
something.
So what I do, I have a couple different things. So they can drop any questions inside the Facebook group. And then I send a form out. It's automated right now in my email server. But I send a form out 2 days prior to our call. I do them every Tuesdays or on Tuesdays afternoons, and they get a email usually on Sunday. And it's a questionnaire, a question submission form where they can ask any questions. And I go over those first on the calls.
Okay.
And if people, and that's for, people can't make it live. And then if
Right.
they can't make it live, then I go over their questions too. But they have a lot of different places where they can ask questions. If it's something that needs like a lot more explanation than typing something out in the Facebook group, then I'm like, ask the question for the call. If it's something, that can just be a simple response in the Facebook group, I'm like, then ask in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really nice because then I record all the calls. So I have a whole place inside my portal where I put all the call recordings. And so they can have access to those anytime they want to go back and look at any of them. So yeah, it's been really nice being able to do that. And way, way easier than I thought. And I'm like, why did I not do this a long time ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I'm really grateful you shared that because I know that's something that a lot of people are asking or wondering or thinking about. Do you think, like, if you could go back and start over, do you think you would have even started it before you got busy? Or do you think it was better to wait until you got to maybe even 3 years ago? Like you were still busy. You were not just as busy where you were forced to make that decision because
Right.
of just capacity. But like, what's your opinion, I guess, is what I'm asking about starting a group maybe earlier on in a practice? Is there any reason not to do that?
Yeah. I mean, I've, thought about it both ways. I probably easily could have started this a long time ago. Definitely. Like even, beyond 3 years ago, I easily could have. I don't think there's any reason why anyone should wait to do if they're, kind of newer, starting out, to not start a group program right away. I really don't. The only thing I will say that, and this is my own personal experience, having one-on-one clients, at least for a little bit, got I'll say like my feet wet with like how the testing works and talking to clients, and I got experience with that. So I probably would at least do a little bit of that, even if it's like 6 months, just to kind of get a feel for like, this is what it's like, talking to clients and getting test results in and doing all of that, and then easily go into a group. And I've seen, like, I've worked with several business coaches, and that was kind of their take too. Like, yeah, we always recommend to get a little bit of some one-on-one time, but it doesn't have to be a lot, not years and years like I did.
Mm.
You
Yeah,
can
it's true. You
easily.
want to flesh out some of your processes for sure.
Right, right. Yeah. So, and looking back, like thinking about like all the nuances, with like, getting set up with like, I use Practice Better, for my business, and like my email server, and like all these things, like getting all like the business things kind of set up and then using them with clients. I would definitely suggest that.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was no reason to sit there and like, I need to be 5 years into my business before it. No way. Like I would have absolutely. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I would easily say after the first year, I easily could have been starting a group for sure.
Good.
But
That's really good advice.
yeah,
And I appreciate
yeah,
your wisdom there for sure.
yeah.
Okay, that's really exciting. So you just launched this. It's been about, you said, a year, 6 months to a year since you launched your group program.
The group I started official, like I was kind of like, it was a little bit in the works, like 6 months ago. But like officially where I announced it on social media was literally only a month ago.
Oh,
Yeah. So where I really started letting more people come in other words, because
yeah.
like when I talked to people who were interested in working with me, I offered the group, or I say group experience or VIP experience, the one-on-one. I was offering that, for the last 6 months, but not really like announcing it that I'm officially a group program now. So it hasn't been that long, and it's been great. It's been really nice.
How did you come up with your package offer? Like, thinking through the offer of this VIP program, like you seem like you have your branding kind of dialed in.
Mhm.
What kind of was that process like for you to really get that honed in?
That was it was a lot of tweaking, by the way. That was probably a lot of trial and error, a lot of experience over the years of working with clients and realizing like, yeah, I changed the number of calls that you get in the package so many times, and the timing of, how often we do a call. Do we do a call like right away before we even get test results in, or do we just wait? Like all those things, that was just trial and error, honestly, with like how I came up with like, this is how many calls we're going to have if you're doing it one-on-one with me. This is how many calls you're going to get. This is how we're going to time them out. I used to, when I first was doing it, I tried cramming everything into 3 months. That did not work. So that's why I like one-on-one with me is usually 6 months now.
Mhm.
So again, trial and error, because getting test results, they don't come back fast, as we want them to from functional medicine. So I was like, yeah, I need more time to be able to do that. So a lot of it really came down to like just trial and error and realizing like that, yeah, we need more time, or we don't need this many calls. Cause I started noticing like a lot of we were getting close to like the end of the packages. or the end of their program with me, and they had so many calls left. I'm like, they don't need that many calls. I don't know why I have so many calls for them. So
That could
yeah,
make for an awkward conversation.
yeah, I'm like, I mean, you're almost done and you have 3 calls left. Like, we're not going to use, 3 calls in 1 week. Yeah, so then I, just would say, we're just going to extend our time out or whatever. And that's why I started noticing, like, we don't need this much. And then even, like how I have my like module set up and my program set up inside Practice Better, I kind of changed that over the years as well so it's not so overwhelming, because I had like individual modules for like every single subject. And I started noticing, I'm like, that's a little overwhelming. So I started lumping more things together and had like little subsections. And so it's like little things like that, where it was literally just trial and error and over time and getting feedback. I asked for a lot of feedback from clients. That's the other thing, is mid working with me, like halfway through their program with me. And then at the end, I'm always asking, like, I want feedback. So I'm asking a lot of questions and feedback. And that has helped me a lot with like coming up with like, this is what this is my package. This is what I offer. This is what you're going to get when you work with me, that sort of thing. It was a lot of feedback from clients, but also the trial and error and the time with it. Because in the beginning, there were a lot of things that I'm like, that is not working. I need to change that, which was good. It was like, I learned a lot, from things that I tried and was like, that I don't want to do that anymore. That's not working, or we're just going to tweak this a little bit. But, it took a little bit of time to kind of get that down pat, what I wanted, what I wanted to help clients with,
Yeah.
and then B, to make it so that it was feasible. It was like doable for me to actually do it. Because I need to be realistic too, because I was like, if I'm going to, help this many women, like, I got to be realistic here with how many I can take on and how much time it's going to take and all that stuff. So
Right.
that, yeah, that was also a little eye-opening to realizing, like, you also can't work, 12 hours a day and not get like burned out. Like that was what I was headed there. And I'm like, I can't do that. That's not realistic.
I agree. And you know what, I love that you're sharing that, because I think that's something that in any entrepreneurial experience, we can tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to feel like we have to have it all figured out before
Right.
we launch. And I
Right.
love that you gave yourself that grace, that you gave yourself almost 5 months to kind of flush out your group program before you really announced it. Like, smart, because just even giving yourself permission to make mistakes, I guess you could say, as
Right.
you're figuring it out, is just
Right.
so key. I love podcasts, and I think they're great for like this kind of conversation and insight. But at the end of the day, anybody who's listening and thinking like, I'm going to launch a program, it's still going to be your own thing. Like, your
Right.
schedule and your life and what you're
Right.
doing and how you do it isn't going to be the same as yours. So you
Right.
still got to have that, like, testing, testing, testing.
Testing. Yeah. And one thing that I really learned about it too was, again, I was, mentioning that there's a lot of trial and error with it, but I had to be so realistic with it and be like, look, you're going to end up totally burning yourself out if you keep thinking that you have to work, work, work. Like, if you're not working, then you're not going to make it as an entrepreneur. And that is absolutely untrue. And I was always under the impression, going into, running my own business and being an entrepreneur, that if I'm not working, 10, 12-hour days, that I'm not going to make it as an entrepreneur, which I quickly found out that it was actually the exact opposite, because I was burning myself out. I'm like, no, when it's your business, you can set it up however you want. And that's the beauty of having the group too.
Mm-hmm.
Set it up however you want. If you want to, if you have the capability where you can work longer hours, like, human design, I'm a projector. We do not do well with working and working and working and working and not taking breaks and taking some time off. Can't do that. And that's who I 100%, that's me. And I had to really learn that along the way. Like, this is why, like, I am going to completely burn myself out if I have that mentality that I have to work all these ridiculous long hours to make it as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I cut my hours back pretty dramatically from when I first started, like, dramatically. And I'm making more than I've ever made in my business now by actually cutting my hours back.
That's so
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I was, of course, scared to do that. But I just started noticing kind of patterns and things that I was doing, that I'm like, you are working way too many hours, even on the weekends. I mean, I was taking client calls on Saturdays, Sundays, working. I'm like I can't do that. I need my weekends.
There is definitely a psychological thing that I think we get caught up in, especially, when
Mhm.
you start out in the world and you're working at a regular job and you're trading time for money, or even in industries like massage or probably physical therapy is in some ways similar to where
Right,
you get paid for the hour that you're working based
right,
on whatever skill set you have. It's
right.
a total mindset shift to go into
It
that
is.
coaching and you're like, no, I can make money a million ways. Like I'm not
Right,
limited to that based on
right,
my time. It's just
right.
such a change. It's so
It's
cool.
a huge mindset shift. And I went from like, working as a physical therapist. I was salaried
Mhm.
at that time, and I was making, pretty decent money as a salary employee. My hours were set. These are the hours that I work. And I went home and, after I was off my shift, and that was it. And I
Yeah.
was using that kind of mentality of during those hours that I was at work, I was working, 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 working. I mean, the clinic was crazy that I worked at, the last clinic that I did. And I, kind of had that mentality like you need to be killing yourself for working to make sure you're going to make it. And it was a huge mindset shift. And it's a little scary. I won't deny that. It was scary completely quitting a full-time job that had guaranteed pay to, oh gosh, now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to, rely on, clients coming in. But the beauty of it is I actually get to help people the way I want to help them.
Mhm.
I'm not being dictated by, insurance company or, my boss. I don't have a boss. And I get the beauty of like actually helping women the way I want to help them.
How did
Um,
you kickstart your transition? Like, how did you go from that? I mean, that's because
Mine
I've
was
done
an
that.
interesting story. So I quit my job as a physical therapist. So my now husband, but when I met him, we were dating for maybe about a year, not even a year. And he actually owned a gym here in St. Louis where I live. And I did not like my job that I had. And he's like, you would be so phenomenal as a personal trainer. You know, all the things. And I was really into fitness and all that, and had my physical therapy background. So he's like, you would be great as a personal trainer. Get certified and you could start, working and see if that's something that you like. Cause I know you don't like your job right now. Um, so that's what I did. I started working at his gym. And after I got certified in personal training, I was like, man, I really do like this. I want to start looking into the nutrition part of it. So then I got a certification and called Fitness Nutrition Specialist by NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine. I got that. And that's when I started getting into all this nutrition and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I actually want to start looking a little further. What can I do with functional medicine? Because my health was starting to decline pretty dramatically. It was getting worse and worse and worse with my thyroid stuff. And that's when I found, the functional medicine stuff. And so I was still kind of doing a little bit of physical therapy on my own, not with a clinic, um, personal training, some nutrition clients. I was kind of doing all of that inside the gym setting.
Mhm.
Um, and then that's when I ended up getting certified in functional medicine. And so I started taking some of those kind of clients on, but was kind of dabbling in all of it.
Mhm.
And then my business started really picking up with the functional medicine stuff, and working with women with thyroid and health or hormone issues and the testing. And I was getting busy that I'm like, oh, I can't do the gym and this, like, that's not gonna, I can't do all that. And so I started slowly taking less and less personal training clients, and, physical therapy people, all those things, and, really working my way up with my business. And then eventually I was like, okay, I got to do one or the other. This is getting really busy. And
Yeah.
so I just, I still have my personal training certification. I still have my PT license. I keep that all up to date. But I just, yeah, I quit.
That's a really cool story because I've talked to quite a few people even just on this podcast, and many are do that part-time job thing. But what's cool about the particular job you had is that it wasn't so much about the hours. You didn't need to be 20 hours or 15 hours,
Right,
just like one or two clients or five clients or whatever,
right,
and work it around your other schedule. So that's really
right.
handy. I mean, that could work for anything, like,
Yeah,
you know,
literally.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was nice. And my husband was like, he was so supportive because I was like, look, I can't do both things. Like, if this is just too much. And he's like, you need to stop coming to the gym and handling all those clients. You need to focus on your online business. And so that was actually scary doing that. But it was so huge when I decided to stop doing that and just work from home and do my online business, that was a massive transition. And it was like a huge one, because the minute I started doing that, that's when like everything just started, picking up, and I was getting super busy, had to, hire a support coach, and a VA and all the things. Once I like bit the bullet finally and decided to make that switch. And I was so glad that I did, because then I could just focus, because I felt like I was being pulled so
Yeah.
many directions. And I was like, I had to transition my focus all the time. And I'm like, this is not how I want this to go. And so it was an easy decision to make, because I'm like, now I have one focus, but scary at the same time. But I was so glad that I did it, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I always equate it to like, you remember when we were kids, how there was those little balls with the red, like electrical
Yeah.
thing, you put your finger
Uh-huh.
in it, it zaps. It's like that with our business and whatever
Yeah.
we have going on. We only have so much energy that we can output.
That you can outpour. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I felt like. I was like, oh my gosh, I was getting drained. Like, I'm like, I would get to the point where I'm like, I'd go to the gym and do all my personal training clients and nutrition and physical therapy stuff, and then come home and have to do the afternoon stuff, with my online business. And by the time I got to my online business in the afternoon, I was drained. I was tired. And I'm like, I don't want to go like this. I want to be there for these clients better than what I am. And I'm like, I have to stop doing this, being pulled in 10 directions. So
Yes,
it was
definitely.
scary still, but I was so, so glad that I did it.
Yeah. Well, so what's the future? Like now that you've got your membership up and running, do you kind of have your next level plan kind of mapped out on the horizon?
Yeah, so I'm, definitely going to continue with the group program. Like I said, I still offer the VIP. I just don't have a lot of spots open for it. I'm just going to keep, my goal is to just keep building my group program. And then eventually I'll probably have more support coaches coming into the business as well. Right now I have one that's helping me, but I'll probably have more specialty people. That are doing like specific topics like mindset or something like that, that does maybe one call a month with clients. So I just want to kind of keep building that program up more, to have more coaches inside of it, have more people, even working under me, to help with that, and just keep, making that bigger, and get to more women basically all over the world. Cause that's the beauty of something like this, is you don't have to live in the United States to do it. So yeah, that's kind of my goal, is to just keep getting that built up, and have a bigger community. I mean, I just want a big community of more women cheering each other on. Cause like when you are done with the program, like the group program is technically you're in it for 4 months, and then you can join my membership and stay in it then. So you just pay a monthly membership fee. And a lot of my clients are like, oh, I'm definitely doing the membership. Like, I love it. And I have a lot of my one-on-ones that have actually joined the membership. They finish with me one-on-one, and I'm like, you can have my membership option now. And so I have a lot of one-on-ones that came into that.
You house that in Facebook too?
Yeah, yeah, I do all that in Facebook. Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Yep,
Very
I do
cool.
all of it in my Facebook group. And then obviously the group coaching calls that I have each Tuesday, I do that. But yeah, it's been really a nice, transition, because I have a lot of clients with, especially my one-on-ones, they get done, with their, full program, the 6 months, and they're like, I still want to ask you questions or have access to you, or if I want to do retasks, can I do that? How do I do that? And I'm like, my membership, like, it's just so easy, because then you can order testing whenever you want. And you get a discount with it now, after you, get into my membership, and you can ask me questions. You can go on calls or just ask questions in the group, however you want. And so people really like that. So yeah, the goal is
Yeah.
to just building that up bigger, to have a even, bigger community
Cool.
for women to go to. Yeah.
I can already see this is going to be really awesome. Like it's
Yeah.
already got wings. It's just going to get
Yeah.
even better. So that is
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it, just because I feel like I can just help more women then.
Mhm.
And then they get to, chat with each other too, which is
Mhm.
nice for them.
Yeah, there is definitely, and everybody experiences things differently. So it's sometimes nice to share and then have somebody else say, "Oh, that happened to me too." And
That's totally me, right? And I'm already seeing that in my
yeah,
group. There's been some things where someone will say, "Hey, has anyone ever experienced this?" They feel like they're totally alone, and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, that's what I had a year ago or 2 years ago or something like that." And then there's just a whole conversation then. So they don't feel alone, because there's a lot of things, especially as women. And I know you can relate to this. There's some things that come up with your health that you're like, what is this? Why is this happening?
Mhm.
And you feel alone, because you're like, I don't know if anyone ever, has this as well. So
Yeah,
it's really nice when you can have someone that you can just like chat with, who can relate, whether
absolutely.
it's something small or something big, it's nice for them.
So cool. Yeah. So tell everybody where they can connect with you if they want to get into your program.
So I have a website. So there are a couple of different options. Like my Instagram handle is Angela Brown Coach. I have a lot of activity on my Instagram page. I'm on Facebook and TikTok and all the other things too, but most of my activity, the most engagement and stuff that I get is on my Instagram page. And then there's a link in there as well. But my website is angelabrown.org. And I have tons of info on there. There's all my program information is on there where they can see my group experience, my VIP experience, my blog, like all the things. I have a lot of freebies on there too. I've gotten so many suggestions for, my very first one was how to read thyroid blood testing, because I was getting a lot of requests for that. And then like 2 years ago, I was getting a lot of requests. People were like, hey, do you have like a list of like toxin-free products that I can use, or, that are, better for my thyroid and my hormones? And I was getting so many requests for this. And I just kind of kept a running list for like a year. And then I decided to make a guide out of it. So I made a free guide with that as well, that people love, because it has like discount codes for some of the companies and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's a lot of info on there as well. But yeah, they can always go to my website, because that's where I have all my info with the programs and all the things.
Yes, that is awesome. Fantastic. Okay.
Yep.
So everybody go check out angelabrown.com. I'm
It's
following.
angelabrown.org. I always forget.
Org. Oh, okay.
Yeah, angelabrown.org. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
All
Awesome.
good.
Thank you so much for joining the
Thank
podcast.
you. Thank you for having me. It was great chatting with you.
It was only like 20 minutes. I looked up at the time and I was like, I feel like this has been so
right.
informative.
Right.
Like such a short amount of time. So yeah. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.